So one of Hollywood's most legendary kingdoms, Warner Bros. Discovery, is officially on the auction block. And let's be clear, this isn't just another M&A deal. This is a high-stakes battle for dominance that could literally write the final chapter of the streaming wars. For anyone in our world, in the corporate development space, this is a masterclass in strategy playing out in real time. Let's dive right in.
So how did this titan even end up on the block? To get that, you've got to rewind a bit. When David Zaslav took over after the big merger, he came in and saw the books and, look, he did not mince words. He basically inherited a wounded giant, a classic distressed asset just ripe for the picking.
Yeah, Zaslav's restructuring, it was absolutely swift and, frankly, brutal. You see the timeline here. A $3 billion cost-cutting blitz in 22, then he calls 23 a year of building. But really, what was he doing? He was prepping the company for this exact moment, a massive sale in late 2025 that was going to pull in all the biggest names in the business.
Okay, so what is actually on the table here? Well, this is just a classic M&A scenario, right? A true crown jewel, but one with a potentially fatal flaw. You've got this incredible treasure trove of intellectual property, but it's being dragged down by some serious financial vulnerabilities. And that tension, that's at the heart of this entire deal.
Man, this chart, it tells you pretty much everything you need to know about the absolute mess Zaslav walked into. Just look at it. Under AT&T's watch, HBO, the crown jewel, swings from a $2.5 billion profit to a $3 billion loss. And that happened in just 2 years. That's not just a misstep, people. That's a full-blown strategic implosion. It basically slapped a giant for sale sign on the whole company.
So, once WBD is officially on the market, the bidding war kicks off. Let's break down who showed up to the party and what their opening moves looked like.
Right away, you could see the different playbooks. Netflix and Comcast, they went straight for the jugular, targeting the studio and streaming assets, mostly with cash. Paramount Skydance, on the other hand, they wanted the whole enchilada. They were throwing out multiple all-cash bids before the formal process even kicked off. And you gotta love Comcast's move, dangling a potential role for Zaslav. I mean, that's a classic play to win over management, right?
And then, well, then things got ugly. Paramount, clearly feeling like they were being iced out, fires off this letter you see here to the WBD board. And make no mistake, this was way more than just a legal threat. This was a direct accusation, you're running a rigged game. They're basically saying the whole sale process is tainted by conflicts of interest. So the question becomes, was the process tainted? I mean, that's the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? This one letter just raised the stakes immensely. Now you've got the threat of shareholder lawsuits hanging in the air, and maybe even a hostile takeover attempt from Paramount.
You know, when you see a deal this complex, with this much on the line, it just hammers home how critical surgical precision and expert guidance really are. For any of you in the M&A world, navigating your own high-stakes transactions, having the right advisor in your corner is just, it's non-negotiable. If you're looking for that kind of specialized advisory, you can learn more at www.services.corpdev.org. So, out of all that chaos, a frontrunner emerges. Netflix pulls ahead, and they enter exclusive talks with Warner Bros. Discovery. So let's really break down their winning gambit here. Okay, the offer? $28 a share, a pretty significant premium, and it's a mostly cash deal. This was clearly a knockout punch aimed right at WBD's crown jewels, those incredible content engines. But honestly, here's the real power move, a $5 billion breakup fee. Let that sink in. That wasn't just a number on a page. It was a massive statement. Netflix was basically shouting to the world, and especially to the WBD board, look, we know the regulatory hurdles are insane, and we are willing to put $5 billion on the line to prove we can get this done. But you know what? Winning the bidding war might have been the easy part. Now Netflix is staring down the barrel of two potential deal killers, a huge regulatory backlash and a massive clash of corporate cultures. And the opposition? They did not wait. You had A-list filmmakers going straight to Congress, warning them that a Netflix deal would, and I'm quoting here, hold a noose around the theatrical marketplace. This move instantly turned the antitrust debate into something much bigger, a battle for the very soul of Hollywood.
So this slide really gets to the heart of the antitrust fight. On one side, you have Netflix's argument, right? They're going to pitch this as a huge win for consumers, a cheaper bundle, what's not to love?
But you can bet the DOJ is going to see something very different. They're going to see a monopoly in the making, combining number 1 and number 4, which could ultimately mean less choice and higher prices for all of us.
And look, even if they somehow navigate the regulatory minefield, this is where the real fight begins. This table lays out the massive cultural divide between these two companies. It's stark. Think about it. Netflix is a walled garden all about subscriptions and exclusivity. Warner Bros., it's a sprawling, old-school empire. They've got their hands in everything from theme parks to syndication to T-shirts. These aren't just different business models, they're practically different religions.
And honestly, this quote from Ted Sarandos just says it all. Driving folks to a theater is just not our business. So how does a company with that philosophy merge with a studio that was literally built on the theatrical model? I mean, that is a billion-dollar integration question.
So what's the bottom line here? What does all this mean? We are looking at the streaming endgame. The outcome of this one deal will reshape the entire media landscape for at least the next decade.
So, for all of us in the industry watching this unfold, here's the checklist. Here's what you need to keep your eyes on. First, the DOJ's response is everything. Will they try to block it outright, or will they demand remedies? Second, keep an eye on the WBD shareholders. Given Paramount's loud objections, they could still be a wild card. Third, we need to see Netflix's actual, detailed plan for integrating the theatrical and licensing businesses. That's huge. Also, what happens to the linear cable networks? You know, CNN, TNT, TBS. What's their fate? And finally, what's the countermove from the competition? You know, Comcast and Paramount aren't just going to sit on their hands.
At the end of the day, this deal is about so much more than just one company. It's really about the future of entertainment itself. The streaming wars as we knew them, they're over. The great consolidation has begun. And this battle for Warner Bros. Discovery, it's just the first shot in a brand new war, a war for total domination. And it leaves us with one massive question. When all the dust settles, will there be only one kingdom left standing?